Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back. Today you are gonna see how this pretty little look is created. I'm just kind of doing a very simple everyday fall look. This one is a little bit more for the semi-low maintenance girlies or those who really want a cute look but don't want to put in too much effort. So yeah, stick around if you want to see me transform into bare face and then back into this face. Okay, now that we got the forehead out, we are ready to go and get started. This is giving 2016, the messy bun and the everyday fall makeup tutorial, but I wasn't a makeup artist in 2016, I was learning, so. I always put my brows on first. You don't have to put your brows on first. I have bad brows. You guys don't want to see that, so we're just gonna. So I wear this foundation. I always like to do more coverage on the outer areas because you need more here and less here for smile lines, eye creases, things like that. So I'm just gonna do this cutesy little polka dot. So you can see I'm just kind of working it, the heaviest parts out and then bringing it in. Also, if this looks a little light for me, don't come for me. It was just summertime. Okay, so now that we are foundationized, I am gonna go in. I don't normally like to do contour and bronzing and things like that, but we're gonna do it anyway. Okay, and I am going to go in with the Dragun Beauty Face palette just for my little contour moment here. I'm not gonna make this super heavy because this look we're going pretty brown, so I'm just gonna do a light contour. And I'm using a powder, so powder will naturally be softer than liquids and creams. Or officially a beauty guru. Fun fact, you do not have to suck in your cheeks to find out where your contour goes. You can already see in certain areas like a natural shadow, so just follow that. You don't have to bring it down super far. I don't like to personally. I like a very light sculpt, so I would recommend doing that if you're somebody like me who has higher cheekbones, unless you want them to like stab somebody as you turn to the side, which I get it, I support it, but I'm just gonna follow my natural shadow line here so that way I can just give a slight emphasis. And since this is a powder, I'm just gonna dab it on. You can see the difference already from this side to this side. If you wanna go into a heavier sculpt, you can also round it up just a little bit around the base of your cheek, so that way it's really going to give you that extra sculpted and rounded look. Now obviously that is kind of crazy, but it's fine. I don't like to really do powder on top of powder to set because that's when you can get very cakey and very heavy. So I'm just gonna take the same brush that I use for my foundation. I'm not gonna add any more, and I'm just going to tap and buff it out so that way it's a little bit more of a seamless blend. This is as far as I usually go. If you're a heavy contour girly, by all means, add it on your nose, on your chin, on your forehead. I might add a little on my forehead looking at it there. I don't know, you guys will probably thank me for that. But this one I will do a swipe instead of a tapping motion, but it's just gonna be very, very light and very little. And I'm gonna do the same thing where I will buff it out with the foundation. But you do want to be careful because you don't want to look too muddy. And since we're doing fall, everything gets a little bit deeper. We see a little bit more berries, a little bit of things like that, but I don't want to go too deep into this because we're not doing a dramatic. Again, this is more of like an everyday, quick one. For my blush, I'm going to switch to creams. I'm going in with the Makeup Forever Pro palette, and I am going to pop in with this shade right here because I just think it's pretty. And while we're here, I'm actually going to pull from this side of the palette and do a little bit of concealer under my eyes. If you are not a concealer girly, like I am not, feel free to skip it. You can always add a little bit of brightness, especially since we're doing colors that are a little bit more dark and a little bit more, I don't want to say heavy, but when you add like shadows and darker colors and things like that, it can tend to drag the face down a little bit. So you want to highlight certain areas, and your eyes are always going to be one of them. So I'm just gonna come super light under my eyes. And I don't necessarily like a lot of concealer. If I ever do wear it, I go very light-handed and I keep it just within the area. You don't need to drag it down and bring a whole bunch of brightness because then you're just gonna have a lot of weird imbalance going on. When I do this, I very much feel like I'm having like an exorcist moment. Bring it down about the same. And we are gonna go back in with the same foundation brush. We are not going to add any more product. If anything, dust it off if you do really heavy contour, but I just checked and there is nothing coming off, so we're fine there. Be careful when you do that because you're not really always gonna be able to. It's better to use different brushes most of the time, but I like to always continuously use my same foundation brush because it already has a little bit of my color left in. So I dusted off the excess and I'm just gonna buff this and blend it into my skin. And also, if you haven't noticed, the key here is to tap and not drag. When you are dragging, you are just mudding product together. You're just swooshing it around a bit. If you are tapping, you are doing active blending. Tips from your local Los Angeles exorcist. So we are sculpted, we are brightened. So now we're gonna go in with that really pretty blush. I do not know the name of it. Do not ask me. They do not have names. I really couldn't tell you. Now I know you've heard of blush blindness, but what you probably haven't heard of is blush awareness. I'm very blush aware. I love a lot of blush. So there will be no exceptions here. I always start at the highest point of my cheekbone, blend up and bring it down just a little bit. I don't like the look of bringing it all the way onto the apples of the cheeks, mostly because of my face shape. And when you do blush, you can bring it down so low that once again, you are dragging your face down. And then you are making yourself look older, you're making your face shape look a little more rounded, and sometimes that's just not gonna give you the most flattering makeup application. So once again, it is tapping, not dragging, and I'm starting in the middle, coming all the way up. I like to bring it up to pretty much my temple. That's just the look that I like to do. I think that it adds a really nice lift and heightens the face. And again, we are blush aware here, so go all in. Now, the furthest I say to drag is if you want to find the apple of your cheek, just give yourself a little smile. Just halfway down. You can see you can still have a blush moment, you have a nice lift, and it still looks really nice and pretty on the skin. And guess what's next? You guessed it! Our best friend, the foundation brush. I just like to do it mostly since I'm putting it right on that contour. I really like to mesh and blend those two together, and then I'll take it very lightly over the top so it has a more seamless blend. But I'm not getting rid of the pigment. We are gonna add a little bit of powder later, and powder will take down the pigment. So you don't wanna blend too much or you're just gonna have to go right back over. So I don't know if you can see the difference, but I can see the difference because now this is a lot more softer and has a lot more of a nice blend onto the cheekbone. Okay, everybody's favorite part, the eyes. This is my least favorite part. Wow, this really is an easy everyday fall makeup tutorial because I am already on the eyeshadow, so cool. At least you know I'm not a liar. Okay, so since we're doing more of like an everyday type, we want to keep this very soft, we want to keep it very light. So I'm gonna go in with the shade called Invincible. This is from the RealHer Make It Happen palette, but I'm going to link everything down below for specifics and things like that if you really want the full face happening here. And we are just gonna keep this very simple because again, this is an everyday look. This is something you wanna be able to put on really quickly in the morning. So you're gonna take your blending brush, you're gonna dip into your brown shade, and you are just gonna pack it on the outer corner to start, and then start dragging it into your crease. And you don't want this to be super heavy or overly noticeable. It's just to bring a little bit of depth into the eyes. I'm not doing anything too crazy. I'm just following the natural contour of my eye. I'm not dragging it above, so just keep it right within your crease. And since you already have a blending brush, it's gonna do most of the work for you. I like to go in little motions kind of like this, back and forth, if that makes sense, because I just find that it gives the best blend. I'm gonna drag these out just a little on the outer edge, nothing too crazy, just very light and soft. I'm gonna go in with this cream color here called Driven, and this is once again just gonna add a little bit of highlight and depth onto the eye without overdoing it with the eyeshadow. This is really good for people who aren't very good at doing their eyeshadow, but still wanna add some depth and dimension to their eye makeup. If you can't tell, I am a tapper. A lot of people will kind of drag the eyeshadow onto the top of the lid, but that is not going to give you a good blend. It is just tap, don't drag, okay? I'm also placing this brush right here. You can kind of see right where my eye creases and folds. And if you guys take it from this angle, you can see that I am placing it no higher than where my actual fold in my eye sits. I'm going to do it right on the natural crease. And that way it'll just blend really well into that brown that we dragged all the way in. And I'm stopping about 3/4 of the way here because again, we're gonna have that really pretty gradient if you do it that way. If you bring it all the way out, you're gonna get rid of all this blending and all this like work that you did here, and you're gonna kind of diminish the brown a little bit too much and you will lose your depth. And if you find that you buffed it out a little too far, a little bit too much, it's not a problem. You can just go in, and I recommend just tapping a little excess on top, and that will make a world of a difference. To keep it simple, you can add a wing, you cannot add a wing. This is more for my low maintenance girlies, AKA me. Even though I love doing a wing every day. But for something more soft and subtle, I'm gonna go in with Unbreakable, which is that deeper, more chocolatey brown, and I'm gonna use this as my eyeliner. And so we're doing a shadow liner. You wanna start really, really soft. Okay, so say hello to my mirror. When it comes to your shadow liner, it is, again, a shadow. It is meant to be very soft. It's not meant to be overly out there. And I'm just gonna use that chocolate brown, and I'm gonna follow the natural contour of my eye. And I'm not gonna drag it out super far, but I'm gonna give a little cute stamp. There she goes. I know it looks thick and crazy, but just give me a minute. So we are gonna continue to kind of stamp our way through this instead of dragging, because I am gonna smoke it out very minimally. But that being said, you're just gonna wanna tap so that way you're not creating a harsh shadow line and you'll have more of a gradual fade. And it's okay if it looks a little chunky like mine does right now, because we're gonna fix it. Looks pretty awful, right? Not for long. So I did use something flat-headed and really skinny for the actual application, but I'm gonna go in with something very similar, but it's still an eyeliner brush. And I'm just gonna use that to sharpen up the wing. It doesn't have to be a wing if you don't want it to be, by the way, but like that's illegal. In my mind, I have to do a wing at all times. And this is where you're gonna do more of the dragging, because as you can see there, it's gonna sharpen that up a bit, and yes, we will clean it up with a little bit of concealer, but this is just gonna give it a nice little smoke out. The good thing about having a clean one is you can see it really just brought that wing out and emphasized it, so that's what we love to see. Cute. Not perfect, but cute. I am just going to take a little bit of my foundation instead of concealer because this is so soft. I don't want such a harsh line. And I am just going to clean that up. Boom. And if you are like me and always bring your wings out way too far accidentally on purpose, then you'll take a little bit of that excess and you'll just drag it out so that way there's not a weird little stopping point there. It'll kind of gradually fade. And the reason you want to bring that out and have a good map out is because I'm not just going to stick with flat brown eyeliner. I'm gonna go in with that same brush that we were using, and I'm going to very lightly, and I mean the most gracious, the most precious, it is a newborn baby type of level of care. You're gonna use a black eyeshadow. And you are just going to tap it on. And the reason I'm doing this here is because in a moment we are gonna go in with a brown mascara. So we don't wanna do brown on brown on brown, but we also don't want it to be so harsh that there's such a huge contrast. You can see here, it's still gonna look like a wing, but it's not gonna be that straight black wing. And again, tapping, not dragging. And I'm actually only bringing that in about halfway because I want a really pretty gradient fade. And if you need to go in and sharpen it again, by all means, do your thing, girl. And we are gonna take that same fluffy brush, 2 taps max of that black shadow, just lightly buff it onto the outer edge and about quarter way into your crease. I'm gonna use a different brush to kind of blend that out a little bit better because I don't want it to become too muddy by using so many dark colors right next to each other. And I'm taking that tiny little bit and I'm still bringing it halfway. When it comes close to the shadow, you just want to give it light taps and slight upward swings. So you're not blending that shadow wing out too much, but you're also not letting it be so overly defined. And this is for like this is very much for the subtle girlies. Once again, the girlies who don't really know how to do makeup, who don't really like to do makeup, want to do something really cute. This could be your Thanksgiving makeup. I don't know. And I'm gonna go in with that same cream shade that I used on my eyelid, and I'm just gonna use it to highlight my brow bone. I'm gonna bring it in very, very lightly here, nothing too crazy. I want most of the focus to be over here, so that way we have a nice natural gradient. And now this part's kind of fun because if you remember in my $1,600 makeup haul video, I had the LAVAA No Chill Brown Mascara, and I figured this was a perfect time to crack that one out. The general rule is to not give your eyelashes the grip of death. Do as I say, not as I do. So we're about to open her up, everybody. Let's have a moment of silence. Let's welcome her into the world. She's being born today, my baby. And this is the brown Brun. Wow, okay, she came out fast. She was ready. So we are going to just dive in. I recently tried the blue mascara, which I'll put the link down to that TikTok so you can see what happens there. But I figure since we tried blue, let's go brown. Baby's first peek at the world. I've honestly never wore brown mascara before, so I'm actually really excited. Wait, this is cute. Hi! This is officially mine. I'm keeping it. I'm gonna wear it. It's so cute, so we're double dipping. And I have extra for my kids, so this one stays with me. Welcome home to LAVAA Los Angeles, my newest daughter. Oh, this is really cute. We love a little try on mid-tutorial. Does anybody else not do like the whole mouth agape thing? Because I don't find that it helps. I don't get it. I support it, but I don't get it. This is really pretty. I will say that on me, having such dark hair, brown mascara is obviously not gonna pop through and be super vibrant like somebody who has blonde, or if I put like a white coating, it would be more prominent. But I really like this because then it's not going to give such a heavy contrast and such a heavy look to the eye. You're gonna keep it very warm, very inviting, and just very subtle. And I actually really think it adds a really pretty lift to my eyes. So this is really cute as is for the eye, something very soft and inviting, but I'm gonna take it a little step further and I am going to take a tiny brush like this here, and I am just going to go back and dip in between a little bit of Invincible and Unshakable and just bring it right at the bottom underneath here. Now, if you want to do a waterline for this, by all means, you can add a black, you can add a nude. I like it as is. I don't like to close off my eyes if I don't have to. Every now and again, I'll put a little bit of a white in my waterline, but I don't think this look calls for it. I really like the way it's looking with just the mascara and the slight little drop shadow that I did here, so we are gonna leave it at that. And now for the grand finale and my favorite part, lips. So this one I'm gonna keep very simple. We've already done so many browns, so we don't want to go too over the top and crazy by doing a full heavy deep lip here, but we are going to go in with a brown lip liner. I'm using a cool tone brown, and I'm just going to do a general line of my lips. And my recommendation for this is you're gonna bring this just slightly outside of your inner corner of your mouth. So kind of like this. And this part doesn't have to be perfect, and you'll see why in a minute. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit at the tips of the top of my lip. I know this looks crazy, but just let me cook. And I'm going to go in with this pink liquid lipstick. It's gonna dry down matte, and I'm just gonna go right all over my lips, but I'm gonna try to avoid the outer corners of my lips so that way I have that nice, cool, almost ombre type of look. And if you want to stop here while it looks like this, you are more than welcome, but I have to add a gloss on top of it because it's just part of my DNA. Using something clear, it doesn't have much of a color. It looks like it's pink, but it goes on super sheer. And the final and most important step is going to be powder. I am not using a pressed powder, I'm using a loose one. It doesn't have any color in it, and I'm just going to use that to buff out any shine. If you want a dewy look, by all means, but I like to look like I have no hydration. And when you're powdering, you want to go super light over your blush because that is going to give it a really nice blend and fade. Now, I don't typically use powder to set. I use it mostly to get rid of shine. I prefer a setting spray, so that would be my final step. But it's like 8:30 at night. We're not doing all that. I'm about to go wash this off right after. And now for the final part of the tutorial, you're gonna take your hair down because hair changes everything. It's so pretty, isn't it? So this is the final look. Let me know what you guys think down below, and let me know if you want to see any more fun looks for fall time because there's a whole wide variety that we can do there. So thank you for watching, happy spooky season, and goodbye.